Thank you. Camillo, you have the floor.
Thanks. So, you see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yes, great. So, okay. I would like to thank Professor Popovic for inviting me to this beautiful event, and yeah, to have the occasion to speak about Wikidata to a new public, and also like a mix of the two publics that I usually have, which is librarians and researchers. So if I go too fast or there is something that you don't understand, you can ask, I would say, at the part before each break. So at the end of each of these three sections, because this presentation will be divided into three sections. That will be, let's go to the next. Okay, that will be these three sections. So a general introduction to Wikidata, a part about Wikidata for librarians, and a part about Wikidata for researchers. So I will start with the first part, an introduction to Wikidata. So yeah, I reused a lot of previously prepared materials, some of them in Italian, some of them in English, and I also add something new. And I will also, in some parts, I will just go and share my screen and show things on Wikidata. So a general introduction to Wikidata starts with some history of Wikimedia projects. Of course, Wikidata is much younger than Wikipedia, is one of the most recent Wikimedia projects. So it's interesting to spend a few minutes about what has been before Wikidata and still exists, of course, and how from this context Wikidata emerged 13 years ago. Wikidata just turned 13 because it was born on the 29th of October 2012. So we recently had celebrations for its 13th birthday. And let's see what was before. So let's start from Wikipedia. Wikipedia, as you know, was born in 2001. Initially, it had another logo, but the famous one was adopted in 2003, and then with like minor restyling, it is still the logo of Wikipedia. So Wikipedia was born in English, but just after a few weeks, months, other Wikipedias in languages different from English were created. And now Wikipedia has more than 300 languages. It enjoyed from its first months a huge success, much bigger than expected. And so from Wikipedia, a lot of other things were born. The first one that I would like to mention is its software, MediaWiki. MediaWiki is the free and open source software that powers Wikipedia, and not only Wikipedia, but all the projects around Wikipedia, including Wikidata, and is a software that everyone can use because, as I said, it's a free open source software, so it's used also beyond Wikimedia projects and continuously updated with new features and so on. So MediaWiki was born in 2002. In 2003, the Wikimedia Foundation was born because Wikipedia had been founded by a company, the company of Jimmy Wales, and then Jimmy Wales donated Wikipedia to a foundation so that it could remain without advertisements and so on, and it could be managed without profit. Like the Wikimedia Foundation is a no-profit that manages Wikipedia and the projects around Wikipedia from a legal point of view and also from a technical point of view. It is in San Francisco, United States, and yeah, it does this like management of Wikipedia and so on since 2003. It collects the donations, etc. So Wikipedia was born in 2001. And the users that were writing Wikipedia said that Wikipedia was the free encyclopedia. Being an encyclopedia signifies that Wikipedia is not a lot of other things. But these other things might still be interesting. So, for example, Wikipedia is an encyclopedia, so it is not a dictionary. It is not a collection of transcriptions of texts. It is not a collection of media files, of pictures, of videos, of maps, and so on. It is not a collection of citations, and so on. So other users wanted to create such things, but they decided that Wikipedia was not the right place. So these other types of like collections of open materials were moved to other newly created projects. So other projects quickly popped up around Wikipedia. These projects were also promoted and maintained by the Wikimedia Foundation. The first one was Wiktionary in 2002, so the desire of creating a dictionary of the languages of the world in like a wiki fashion. Then, for example, in 2003, you see the project with the iceberg, which is Wikisource, so a collection of texts that are in public domain or anyway like with an open license. And then like other projects that you see were born in 2003, 2004, and the number of these projects raised, and now this is the entire group of these projects right now. You see Wikipedia at the top, and you see a lot of other Wikimedia projects, including Wikidata, that is just below the symbol of Wikimedia Foundation. So this is the entire group of the Wikimedia projects right now. And why is this important? Because now we will understand why the community felt the need of creating Wikidata. So Wikipedia is one concept, as one symbol, and so on. But Wikipedia is also many. There are many Wikipedias. As I said, there are more than 300 Wikipedias. New Wikipedias can still be created. And they differ a lot in their content, in the way in which the articles are written, and so on, because effectively the people who write like Romanian Wikipedia are not mostly the same people that write Portuguese Wikipedia or Swahili Wikipedia, and so on. So the communities are different, and this means that also the contents are somehow different, but there are many contents in common. So, excuse me. So basically, there are three aspects that are very much in common between different Wikipedias. The first one is very easy to understand. We have many topics that are described in tens or hundreds of Wikipedias. Like there are tens of Wikipedias that have an article about Pericles. So we have to interconnect them so that a reader can see the same topic treated in different languages. Then, of course, these articles share a lot of multimedia files, and we don't want to store them one time for each Wikipedia. This would be a significant way of using in a not a good way the space, the storage space that we have. So we want the same file to be stored just once and used by the different Wikipedias and Wikisources and so on. And then in these articles, there are some structured data. Of course, like Wikipedias can have sometimes some difference some Wikipedias can say that a person, especially like an ancient person, is born in a slightly different date from other Wikipedias because they use maybe different sources. But anyway, in general, like different Wikipedias agree about, let's say, how big Romania is, or which are the municipalities around Bucharest, and things like that. So in general, Wikipedias say the same thing about the same topic. And some of these things are structured in tables. And for these things, we can try to cooperate in collecting this data instead of having like tens of different Wikipedias, each saying that Pericles was born in Athens. We can write it in one place, and then each Wikipedia can just copy that Pericles was born in Athens, for example. So these three aspects, interconnections of articles about the same topic, the optimization of multimedia files, and the sharing, the optimization of structured, semi-structured data are the three aspects that from the birth of different Wikipedias, the editors felt the need to optimize. And how have these three aspects been optimized? So the first aspect that was optimized was multimedia files. Multimedia files were put since 2004 in Wikimedia Commons. That is a dedicated project to store multimedia files. So pictures and videos and animations like GIFs and all these kind of things were put mostly, there are some exceptions, but let's say mostly, into Wikimedia Commons. As you see, the symbol of Wikimedia Commons, which was voted by the community, conveys this idea of putting everything in one place. So Wikimedia Commons centralized the media files. The other two aspects were a bit more difficult. So how to do the others? Basically, the other two aspects, interconnection and semi-structured data, were addressed by Wikidata. How did Wikidata address these two aspects? So, for the interconnection, basically, before Wikidata, each Wikipedia connected to other Wikipedias in this way, which was very inefficient because if you have, like in this image, like 7 Wikipedias that have an article about the same topic, if, for example, one of these 7 Wikipedias changes the title of the article, for example, because the article is about a person from Armenia, and we decide to change the transliteration that we use in Italian for Armenian, then the other 6 Wikipedias have to be edited to update the title of the Italian article that changed. Or if a new Wikipedia, like Wikipedia in Hindi, decides to have an article about this Armenian person, the other 7 Wikipedias have to be edited in order to add the Hindi Wikipedia. But centralizing the interconnection between Wikipedias in Wikidata, basically, if anything changes, like a Wikipedia changes its title or a new Wikipedia creates an article about this entity, I just have to make one change in the central point, which is Wikidata, and all the Wikipedias will be updated at the same time. So this solves the problem of the interconnection between, I say different Wikipedias, but this is of course valid also for the other projects. So for wiki sources and wiki quotes and all these kind of things. And then we have the most significant problem, the problem of the semi-structured data. So why do I say semi-structured? Because if I see like the wiki text that generates an info box, this wiki text is just a text. But this text has in itself a structure. So if you see this, you see the structure that is below the text. You see some fields, and each of these fields, for example, the field name, has a value Pericles, and the field birth date has a value 495 before Christ, circa. So you see that there is a structure, but anyway, this remains a text. So this is not yet structured data, but it can be converted into structured data because it is a text already with a structure. So what did Wikidata do in this field of centralizing these semi-structured data? First, why is it important to structure data? Of course, the first thing that we are thinking is this. We want to save the time of the users. Okay, a bit of echo. Maybe a microphone open. If you can close this microphone. Okay, now it's closed. So we want to save the time of the users by structuring the data only once. Why is this important? For example, for data that change in time. So the birthplace of Pericles, unless we make some big discovery, doesn't change. But, for example, the number of inhabitants of Romania changes like every day, but at least it changes every time that there is a new a new statistic published by the institution that curates this data. So if we want to keep this data up to date, it's important that we can do it just with one edit that is effective for all Wikipedias, instead of having to edit each of the like 300 Wikipedias that has an article about Romania. So we want to optimize this, save the time of the users that would have to update each Wikipedia separately and that instead could just edit Wikidata. But we also want to facilitate automatic translation. So, for example, generate Wikipedia info boxes through Wikidata, which is very easy. And the last three parts that you see are the most interesting parts, also in view of like research that we will see. So having structured data allows us to answer complex questions, to identify mistakes, to create new visualizations, and to make comparisons. For example, comparisons between Wikidata and library catalogs, or with Wikidata and databases produced by university projects. So all of these things, the last 3 points, are the points that are of relevance not only for like Wikipedias, but also very much beyond the Wikimedia ecosystem, that are of relevance for like the wider community of persons involved in cultural institutions and in university research. So what Wikidata did, basically Wikipedias had info boxes, most of them, and some of them were also up to date. Others, as you can see from the darker color, were not so up to date. And what Wikidata did, it transferred the data, the semi-structured data, in the central point. Of course, this semi-structured data became really structured data. And from this central point, Wikipedias can, and in most cases effectively do, read this structured data. So also this was optimized thanks to Wikidata. Who developed Wikidata? Wikimedia Deutschland, took up the development of Wikidata in 2011. You see here the development team. Lydia Pincher in the upper photo is still the person that is the portfolio leader of Wikidata. So she is still basically in charge of keeping the development of Wikidata going on. And Danny Vrandecic was the chief developer of the software that allows Wikidata to exist. Basically, of course, Wikimedia Deutschland was delegated to do this by the Wikimedia Foundation and still is delegated by the Wikimedia Foundation to continue the development of Wikidata. And in order to create Wikidata, it was necessary to develop a new MediaWiki extension. So MediaWiki itself is taught for textual pages. MediaWiki allows you to develop textual pages in order to also put structured data into MediaWiki. A new extension was created, and this extension is Wikibase, and Wikibase is, as MediaWiki, free and open source software, so you can use MediaWiki also beyond Wikidata. I have some slides about this at the very end of everything. So thanks to MediaWiki, it was possible to finally create Wikidata in 2012. The symbol of Wikidata, that was also voted by the community, means wiki in Morse code. So the red part is W, the green part that you see twice is the I, and the blue part is the K. So this means wiki in Morse code, and the use of something that seems very much like a barcode, because this is thought to seem a barcode, is made to convey the idea that in Wikidata you have structured data. Wikidata is a knowledge graph, which means, like in poor words, a database where the data are arranged also in a way that is very much likely to be well interpreted by not only humans, but also machines, because you also express a hierarchy between concepts, and this hierarchy between concepts allows you to make inferences. For example, like if you know that all countries in the European Union are in geographical Europe, then you can say that Belgium is in the European Union and then it is in Europe. This is just a very easy inference, but of course there can be also more complex inferences. Okay. So the aims of Wikidata, just to summarize, this is not taken from an official page. This is mostly like my view of this, but I think it's accurate. So Wikidata has and still had and still has an aim of optimizing the work of Wikipedians. So unify the effort to collect and update data, make it easy to keep data up to date everywhere. This is still valid. Of course, it also has another very important aim, that is making you able to easily find mistakes and inconsistencies, because if you have structured data, it is easier, for example, to see all the cases of persons that were that died before being born. This is, of course, a problem. Like if you have a death date before the birth date, it should not happen. It is surely a problem of some kind, and many other more complex issues that can emerge. And you can infer new knowledge. This is very important. Having structured data allows you to see things that could not be seen before. For example, to make statistics on, let's say, all the persons that were professors in a certain university, which was the percentage of male professors and female professors, how many were born in a certain region of the country and how many in other regions, etc., etc. Which was the distribution of these professors by the discipline they taught, at which age did they become professors, etc., etc. All of this knowledge is like implicit, and through queries, you can make this knowledge explicit, so really available to the public. This is very important. Wikidata has very wide notability criteria. So notability criteria means that if an entity, if a concept respects at least one of these criteria, this concept can have a page on Wikidata. And like the most important of these criteria is the second one, that says that if the concept, the entity that you want to describe is clearly identifiable and can be described using serious and publicly available sources, you can put this entity in Wikidata. So, for example, many entities that would not be considered notable in Wikipedias, of course, like the notability criteria of different Wikipedias differ a bit, but if an entity is not considered notable by any Wikipedia, it can still be considered notable by Wikidata. Wikidata has tens of millions of items regarding entities that are not described by any Wikipedia. And of course, Wikidata also has pages for each entity that is described by at least one Wikipedia. So whichever thing, person, place, event that has an article in at least one Wikipedia has also a page on Wikidata. So but you can put in Wikidata also entities that are not present in any Wikipedia, as long as they are clearly identifiable and there are serious and publicly available references about them. And of course, you have to mention these references in the Wikidata item. If the references exist, but you don't put them in the Wikidata item, this is a problem, because like the other editors should not should not be entitled to go and look for the sources. If you have the sources, you have to cite them yourself when you create the Wikidata page for the entity. Okay, so how are data structured in Wikidata? This is valid not only for Wikidata, but also for all other Wikibase instances. So let's go. In Wikidata, in order to understand how Wikidata works, it's like useful to know the concept of RDF triple. So basically, an RDF triple is a way of storing data, very easy. You have a subject, a predicate, and an object. And in Wikidata, everything that you see can be viewed as an RDF triple, can be viewed as an association between a subject, a predicate, and an object. Let's see how it works. So an item in Wikidata, what is corresponding to the article in Wikipedia is called item in Wikidata. So when I say item in Wikidata, it is the equivalent of article in Wikipedia, with the difference that the article in Wikipedia has a textual content, whilst the item in Wikidata has a structured content. So I will also open. I will show you this with just a Wikidata item, and then I go back to the slides. So this is an example of Wikidata item. As you can see, I am logged in Wikidata, and I have the interface in English. But for example, I can switch the interface to Romanian, and everything will appear in Romanian. So as you can see, Wikidata is multilingual, and okay, I will switch back to English. By the way, I usually use Wikidata in Italian. So the QID identifies the item. It is an identifier that, of course, does not mean nothing in any language. So it is language independent, and it is also very compact. You always have the letter Q followed by a number. And of course, for pages that have been created more recently, the number is higher. And for pages that have been created many years ago, the number is lower. So the first part of the item is this table that has label, description, and alias. So, and this table is divided by language. As you can see, English, German, Greek, Spanish, etc. So label is the form of the name of the entity that is more frequent in this language. The description is meant to allow you to disambiguate entities with the same name or similar names. So I usually make like an example like this. This is an Italian name that is decently common, and you can see there are many persons with this name, and the description allows you to disambiguate them. And then you have the aliases. So these are other names that are used in this language to refer to this entity, in this case, this person. And this is for the different languages. So here you will find also the name in other scripts like Arabic or Russian or Greek. That, okay, no, in Greek it has not been defined yet, but it could be defined. So this allows for, of course, translation. This means that Wikidata is a multilingual project. So in Wikidata, users from different language areas write, and they write together. So after the labels, description, and aliases, you have the second part of the item, which is the statements. In the statements, you have structured data about the entity. As you can see, you have that the entity is always the subject. So the entity is an instance of human. So the entity is the subject, instance of is the predicate, and human is the object. Or the entity is the subject, label in English is the predicate, and this string VA Urechia is the object. So this structure RDF subject predicate object is always valid. So you have these statements, and the statements, for example, date of death, the object is a date, and you should also have references. The references are also in a structure subject predicate object. So basically, it would be like the item has as date of death predicate, this date, which is the object, and this statement, like this statement, okay, has as reference this reference. Okay, and this reference has as predicate stated in, and as object this, has as predicate this ID, and the object, the value of the ID, has as predicate retrieved, has as object this. So everything can be translated into triples. Of course, the references ensure that what I'm saying is supported by some evidence. And you can also use qualifiers to give additional context. For example, here you use the qualifier to state which was the country that contained this city in the moment in which this person was born. So now this city is in Romania. At that time, this city was in the Principality of Moldavia. Okay. Then you have other statements, etc., etc. Then you have the third part of the item, which is the identifiers. The identifiers connect the Wikidata item with other databases. They can be databases of libraries, so authority files. We will speak about authority files in the second part. Can be like biographical websites like this, or can be like digital libraries like this, and so on. And at the end, we have the last part. The last part is the site links, so the interconnection between the Wikidata item and the pages of Wikipedia and other Wikimedia projects regarding this same entity. So this is the structure of a Wikidata item. The term box with the names of the entity, the statements with the data about the entities, the identifiers that connect the entity to other databases, and the site links that connect the entity to the other Wikimedia projects, especially Wikipedia. So this is what I showed you through the item, and this is important. So these are the types of values that a property can have. So you can use a property to link to another item, like from the item of the person to the item of the birthplace. You can use a property to express a string. So for example, a certain book has a title, echo, some echo.
Can you please turn off the mic?
Okay. So the a certain book has a title, a certain string of text. This can be better expressed by monolingual text. So you associate to the string of text also a language. Or you can have a quantity like Mount Everest is x meters high. So this is the quantity because you have a number with a unit of measurement. A URL like University of Pisa has as official website, and you put the URL. It can be a date, like the person was born in a certain date. Can be coordinates, like the University of Pisa has its main building at coordinates XY, or it can be an external identifier. So these are the types of values that can be used in Wikidata. There are also a few others, but these are the most important ones. Then we saw this, Oh, the ranks. Yeah, the ranks I didn't say while passing through the item. The ranks are important in the sense that in Wikidata, you can put also diverging data. So you can say a certain source says that this person was born on date X, but another source says that the person was born on date Y, and you can put both of them and choosing one of them as preferred. You can choose one of them as preferred, for example, because the source that states this is usually more accurate than the source that states the other value. So Wikidata also allows you to put conflicting data, making a choice of the data that are anyway more accurate But this is very important because you can also use Wikidata to see, for example, all the cases in which two important sources diverge. This is very useful to use Wikidata also to see when scholars effectively have disagreements. A property is similar to this, just a bit different. So I will show you a property. So this is an external identifier. Allora, we have the P instead of Q and then a number. So this is the identifier of the property. The property also has a term box with label, description, and alias. So this property is used to connect an item with the website archaeology.ro. You have, so the term box is the same as in the items. You have the data type. This is different. The data type conveys the information of what you can put in this property. In this case, you can put an external ID. Then you have statements that say what is this property? What is this property about? So it is a property regarding archaeology. This property is like pertinent to the country Romania, and the number of records was 185 as of 2021, etc., etc. These are examples of the use of the property, and so on. And finally, you have constraints. So constraints say how this property should be used. You should use this property on humans. So you cannot put, you should not put this property on an event or a place. And the value of this property should be a number, and the person on which you put this property should be an archaeologist, and so on. So this says how the property should be used and makes it easy to find the cases in which the property is used in a way that is surely or probably wrong, so that you can go and fix. Okay, so this is the structure of a property. And now we are about to finish this first part, just some statistics. So Wikidata as of now has more than 117 million items about different topics. For example, the items about humans are like 12 million, which is a good amount. The properties used in Wikidata are more than 13,000. Most of them are external IDs. Wikidata also contains lexicographical data. I will not speak about lexicographical data in this presentation, but Wikidata has a decent amount of lexemes and also of like conjugated or forms of lexemes, 17 million. Wikidata has more than 1.7 billion statements. Most of them have at least one reference. Other statements may not require a reference because, for example, saying that an entity is a human usually doesn't require a statement. It's fairly self-evident. So not everything requires a reference, although most things requires a reference. We have, as of now, more than 100 and something million distinct references. So we also use a good amount of references. And okay, this is also very important. Who are the editors of Wikidata? How many of them are there? So, like the editors of Wikidata, the core community of Wikidata is made of some thousands of users. In Wikidata, making 100 edits a month is not difficult because Wikidata is very granular. Like you saw, the items are structured. There are many parts of the items, and each part is edited separately. So if you edit an item to make it decent, you probably make like 20 edits. So making like 100 edits a month is not so much. So yeah, the community of Wikidata is made of some thousands of users, as you can see, and these statistics are also very useful. For example, the number of users that edited a statement in the last month was 8,000 and something. The number of users who created a new item in the last month was 6,000. So yeah, around these numbers, you can see how many editors are in Wikidata. If you wanted, there are also some useful statistics that have been made through surveys. There have been surveys of Wikidata users with, if I remember correctly, around 1,000 responses. And in these surveys, there were also statistics about the countries from which these users came and the age and other like personal data that were collected through these surveys. But yeah, this gives you an idea of the number of editors. And every day, the average number of edits in Wikidata is very high, like 400,000 edits, which is a lot. You can also see the statistics of the last 24 hours that I can show you after after the website verifies that I am a human, as you can imagine. So yeah, I am a human, and you can see the statistics. So these are the last 24 hours, and in the last 24 hours, the number of edits has been 380,000 and something. And yeah, you see also the statistics by Howard. Yeah, you see a lot of statistics. This would also be, by the way, this would also be very interesting to study from like a sociological point of view. I think there is nearly no study about this, so this can also be interesting. You can also see the pages which have been most edited and the users. These are the users who have made the highest number of edits in the last 24 hours. This is me, for example. And I know some of these users, of course. So, okay, these are statistics, which are very interesting. And the last part that I have, the last 5 minutes, how to access the data of Wikidata. So there are many ways, apart from the internal search. For example, the special entity data allows you to download one item in different formats: JSON, PHP, N3, Turtle, and so on, RDF, JSON LD. So you can download an item in very different formats. If I take this item, for example, I put special entity data / this dot RDF, and I obtain an RDF file, which will be saved in my computer, and that I will now open for you to see it. So, okay, this is the item that I showed you previously in RDF format. As you can see, you can download it and reuse it as you prefer. And okay, this is very long. I will not scroll all of it, but you see. And I can do the same with another format just to try, like this dot turtle. I use it in turtle. In this case, it shows directly in the browser. So this is the item in turtle. As you can see, this is the same item in turtle. Okay, so you can download individual items in different formats. You can use the dumps of Wikidata, complete and partial. You can use the APIs. And the most important, probably, the Sparkle endpoints. So there are many Sparkle endpoints on Wikidata. This is the official one, WDQS. QLaver is developed by the University of Freiburg in Germany, and is also very, very good. Here you can see a comparison. I will just conclude with some examples of queries to show you what you can do with Wikidata. I will start with a query on Romanian archaeologists. So this is a query written in SPARQL, and the results, as of now, the interface is in Italian, by the way, I will switch it to English, okay? So Wikidata knows 268 Romanian archaeologists as of now. This is just a simple list with the QID, the name. Okay, here there is no description. A QID, the name, and the description. But we can do more complex things. For example, I can show you the same list with some statistics. So this list contains also the number of site links to Wikipedia. So for example, I can see which is the person who has the highest number of like Wikipedias, Wikisources, and so on. This is the person with the highest number of Wikipedias, Wikisources, and so on. The number of external IDs, so which is the person who is most known to other databases to which Wikidata links, and the number of statements. So who is the person which is described with the highest detail in Wikidata? As you can see, and I can see this datum for all the persons. Like for all the person I can see, so I can make statistics on who among like Romanian archaeologists is most known in Wikidata, Wikipedias, and so on through these queries. But I can also show you, for example, which of these archaeologists are present in the libraries of the US, Germany, and France. So here you see the correspondences between Wikidata and the American authority file, German one, French one. If you see the holes, it could be that effectively this person is absent in these authority files, or it could be that this person is present, but the ID has not been added yet to Wikidata. Okay, so this could be the explanation could be that the ID doesn't exist, or that the ID has not been added yet to Wikidata. And the last query that I show you is this. So you can have a map of the birthplaces of these persons. So these are the Romanian archaeologists, and I also made some filters to see which are the most frequent places. So red is one occurrence. I can exclude red, and I see only the places where at least 2 archaeologists were born. And if I click on a place like Cluj, in Cluj, 12 archaeologists known to Wikidata were born. Of course, the limit is always that these are the persons that Wikidata knows. There can be other archaeologists that Wikidata doesn't know yet. So in order to have a complete view, you would have first to, for example, take a database of archaeologists, put all of these into Wikidata, and then you can have more complete statistics, but this is already what Wikidata knows. So, okay. And how to get news about Wikidata? We have a weekly newsletter, which is very good, Wikidata status updates. And we have many Telegram groups that you can check in this page. I will put these slides online today, so they will be available today. And now, questions. This is the end of the first part. So I stop sharing my screen. We have some minutes for questions and then the break.
Okay, thank you, Camillo. And the floor is open for questions.
Yeah.
You can open your mic and place the question.
I hope it was clear, not too fast, etc.
So please don't raise hands, just open the mic and place the question because we don't see everybody on the screen. And while other colleagues are thinking about what they can ask, I would like to ask one question, Camillo. Can the map, which is generated by means of Wikidata information, be embedded then in a website?
Yeah, it could. Yeah. I
Okay.
can share again my screen and show. So basically,
So
now
basically,
I will
if
go
I
back
have a
to
research project and I
Yeah.
upload the data on Wikidata, and in the research project I want to make a geographical projection
Yeah.
of the topics that I'm working at, I can do it in Wikidata, generate the map and the geographical projection and the filters, and then embed it on my project website.
Yeah, as you can see here, there is this code tab, and in the code tab, you already have like the code to embed this in different languages.
In different languages.
So it's already pre-compiled in like languages that I don't know. I'm not a computer scientist, but you have already the code to embed this.
Yeah, well, HTML should be enough for most of the situations.
Sure. So this should work. Yeah.
This is wonderful. Thank you.
Of course, you can also like extract the raw data and use another software or like kind of framework to produce better visualization from the raw data. This is also doable, or you can just embed this. Yeah.
I'd like to ask a question. Hi, Camillo.
Hi.
Congratulations for your presentation. What's your opinion about Elon Musk's Grokipedia?
Okay, so
it's kind of a new topic, but it's an alternative to Wikipedia, to its humane way of being done so far.
I would say probably not, in the sense that the issue is that being, of course, generated by like generative AI, although, for example, I tried just one article about to see an article about the author that I'm studying for my PhD, and the article also contained sources, and it was very long, etc. But, for example, there was a point in which there was a completely invented part which cited a source, and the source didn't say this. So, like, the issue is that being generated on a statistical basis, the statistics is not always right. So. Of course, it can contain hallucinations, basically. And whilst, of course, in Wikipedia, there can be mistakes that that can be due to either like human mistake or sometimes also like malevolent manipulation. In Wikidata, at least, this can be edited directly to fix the mistake, as well as the same is true in Wikidata. Whilst in this kind of website, this cannot be directly edited. So if there is an hallucination, this remains, and you can never like be certain if there is or not until you go and check the source, which can be not always easy. So I wouldn't trust this as much as Wikipedia.
From what you're saying, I understand that Wikipedia is 100% made by humans.
Not exactly. Of course, there are some interventions by bots. Wikidata has, in Wikidata, if I remember correctly, half of the edits have been made by bots. So especially Wikidata has a high amount of contributions made massively, but there is a difference in the way in which the machine works, in the sense that in Wikipedia and Wikidata, the intervention of the bot is not based on an LLM, so it's not based on a statistical approximation, but on rules that have been established by a human. So, for example, a human that has found a typical typo and has programmed the bot to go and check every time that this typo occurred to change the typo to the correct form. So it is usually a rule-based approach, and the rule-based approach has basically a set of rules that say if you find this issue, change to this. So it can be easily verified because you know how it works. With for an LLM, you don't know exactly how it works. So this is the main difference between the machines that operate in Wikipedia and the machine that operate in Wikidata.
I understand. Can you please tell us about AI plagiarism? Because when we use wiki reference, the level of plagiarism, both the normal plagiarism and the AI plagiarism, are very high. Why is that? Why we can't cite Wikipedia, or we can, but with maximum risk for us? And why we are so many times advised not to use Wikipedia as a science, as a researcher?
So basically, basically the issue is that Wikipedia in itself is not a source. This is also stated at the bottom of Wikipedia articles, in the sense that if you go to, for example, should be if I take a random Wikipedia article, there should be at the bottom, go up, go up, go up.
Yes,
okay,
also,
about Wikipedia disclaimers. Yeah, disclaimers, general disclaimer, Wikipedia makes no guarantee of validity. So, because of course, Wikipedia is user-generated content and it can contain mistakes. Basically, Wikipedia itself is not a source. A good Wikipedia article should contain good sources, should be based on good sources. So the good sources that are mentioned in the Wikipedia article should be good and could be cited effectively if they are present. Wikipedia itself is doesn't guarantee its validity, and so of course is potentially less valid than the sources on which it is based. It can also happen that a Wikipedia article is based on good sources, but the person who wrote it was not able to use these sources in the best possible way, for example, and so it should always be verified using the sources that it quotes, basically.
I think that the biggest problem for every researcher now is that when AI administrates or makes changes to the page, whatever it is, it may be Wikipedia or other site, it gives you a high percentage of AI plagiarism, even if you cite it. Can you explain this to us? Even if we cite correctly, the fact that AI administrates or the site, or that bots make changes or they write in these sites, raises the percentage of AI plagiarism.
So of course, the issue of people intervening into Wikipedia articles using some kind of text generated by AI is an issue that is being discussed by the Wikipedia community. I think, for example, it will also be at the next CE meeting, like in Cluj next year. It was in Thessaloniki. However, I think that this is probably not the best place to discuss, mainly because like this is a Wikipedia issue, because it's an issue related to like textual content. So it's not an issue related to Wikidata, where being the content like structured text, this issue is basically not present because like AI doesn't like generate, as of now, we don't have significant examples in Wikidata of data generated through AI. So, and also like my experience in the last years of writing Wikipedia articles has been like very scarce, because my time has been mostly dedicated to Wikidata. So I am not the best person to answer about like issues of AI generated text into Wikipedia. I know that the issue is being discussed. I have attended a few like seminars also recently in Italy, but I have like few personal experience, and also, yeah, I'm not very acquainted with the topic.
Thank you very much.
If there are no other questions, I would propose a short break,
Yeah.
7 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
And while Camillo catches his breath after an hour of talking, for those of you who wouldn't want to go take something to eat or drink, I would like to make a short pitch about Wikimedia Science competition, which takes place actually starting 2 days ago and until mid-December. I will, in a minute, share my screen and tell you what all this is about. And to make it a bit more simple and more appealing for the majority of the attendance, I will do this short pitch in Romanian. Wikimedia Science Competition este o competiție care are loc anual la nivel internațional și care presupune colectarea de imagini științifice în Wikimedia Commons, care ulterior să fie folosite pentru orice fel de alte activități. Anul acesta, WikiScience Competition în România începe pe 15 noiembrie și se termină pe 14 decembrie. Participarea este deschisă oricărei persoane care deține sau dorește să producă imagini științifice din orice domeniu. Aceste tipuri de imagini pot să implice portrete și activități din laboratoare sau de pe teren, diferite tipuri de media, filme, animații, grafice, imagini care documentează diferite procese, imagini microscopice, imagini astronomice, imagini cu animale sălbatice și din natură sau diverse alte tipuri de imagini. Prin această competiție, Wikimedia și grupul utilizatorilor Wikimedia din România și Republica Moldova încearcă să aducă mai aproape comunitatea științifică de comunitatea Wiki. Competiția este deschisă unei game foarte largi de materiale. În principiu este deschisă inclusiv oamenilor de știință amatori, atâta timp cât fotografia în sine are o relevanță și o valoare științifică. Participarea, cum ziceam, este deschisă și se vor acorda 7 premii a câte 250 de lei pentru imaginile selectate. De asemenea, aceste imagini încărcate în Wikimedia Commons vor fi folosite ca materiale educaționale sau în alte scopuri în întreaga lume. Pentru detalii puteți accesa pagina concursului. Eu am să pun acest link în chat-ul întâlnirii noastre. Și dacă doriți, dacă aveți întrebări sau dacă doriți să contactați direct comunitatea Wikimedians of Romania în Moldova, o puteți face pe pagina lor de Facebook. De asemenea, am să pun linkul în chat. Vă mulțumesc și acum putem lua o bine meritată pauză pentru toată lumea până când va reveni Camillo. Mulțumesc!
And I have like a sequel to the answer, just a minute during the pause, like reflecting during the pause. So I think that also remembering what I heard in the last seminar about this issue of AI and Wikipedia content that I attended, like last week at a reunion of a meeting of Italian Wikipedias in Catania. Like AI, the issue that Wikipedia text is taught by AI detectors as written by AI, probably the most relevant reason for this is that AI has been heavily trained on Wikipedia. And so the text that AI generates looks very much like the Wikipedia text that has been written by humans because AI has been heavily trained on Wikipedia text. So, of course, it can now happen in the last months that Wikipedia is also sometimes edited by AI, but the main reason for which Wikipedia text can be detected as AI written is probably that AI, having been trained on Wikipedia, writes in a way that is very, very similar to Wikipedia. This is like the thing that I can add and that was said also on the basis of some research that I remember. I can also maybe find the research, but yeah, I can add this. Probably not much more, but I can add this.
Thank you very much, because it was such a mystery. So many times when you write with your own thoughts and with your own ideas, it can say it was AI written, and I simply didn't understand what's happening. It's becoming more and more difficult to write an academic scientific article because of these issues. The international society in general, research society has found a key to this problem, that when even humans write their own content, AI arrives to say that it's AI written because AI started to write as a human. Did you find, did the international community find a solution to this, or what can we do about this, in your opinion?
It's honestly difficult. I don't have an answer as of now. I don't have an answer as of now. It's a complex issue, and like writing on Wikidata, which is structured data, saves me from a lot of this, honestly.
Yes, thank you very much. I think that no one found a solution, so we are keep searching for this and struggling. I think that in the future, or even now, it's a big problem for humans to make a research, and I don't know what will happen to researchers in 5 years, for example.
Yeah, I can just say that I think I probably received a few months ago my first peer review written by AI. I can say this as a personal experience.
Oh, and how was the AI reviewer in comparison with a human reviewer? Was he more soft or more gentle, or how was he?
Gentle, surely very gentle, like typical chatbots are. The issue is that like the things that is suggested to improve basically were either more or less already present, or the suggestions it made were like not so easy to understand, because being the topic like very technical and not much documented online. Probably the statistical model had difficulties in really understanding. Understanding is probably overrating the chatbot, but anyway, since like the statistical basis on which it could rely was probably very scanty, basically like the suggestion it made were either, yeah, they were not really followable. They were not applicable because, yeah, either they were things that were a bit out of topic or they were already present. So basically it was useless. Yeah.
And I suppose that that was not mandatory. So what AI told you to do was not mandatory for you to follow. No,
no,
exactly. It was.
It wasn't. It wasn't mandatory. Yeah, exactly. So,
if I may, maybe we can
restart.
Yeah, maybe we can restart and try not to slip towards secondary at this point topic. Thank you.
So I restart with the part about librarians. I hope we have many librarians present and not to annoy the others. So, yeah, Wikidata for librarians. Okay, so Wikidata for librarians, which is like, in the way I usually do, it's substantially Wikidata and authority files. So in order to try to keep engaged also the public not composed by librarians, I added a few slides at the start about what is authority control. So a book can be identified by many metadata. The most important ones are the title and the author. And of course, if I want to see all the books in a certain library or group of libraries that have been written by a certain author, I should take into account two issues. The first issue is that the author can be mentioned in the books with many names, like, for example, an ancient Greek author, Sophocles, can be Sophocles, Sophocles, and many Sophocles, probably in Russian, and so on. So the name of the author can appear in many different ways. There are many synonyms, let's say, between the different names with which the author is known. And the other issue is that the author can have homonyms, like the case that I showed previously, Silvia Pellegrini, but surely in every language, like John Smith, etc., there are homonyms. So in order to address the issues of synonyms and homonyms, I create authority records. Like I have an authority record. The authority record has written in itself also the variant names of the author, and the author is disambiguated from the homonyms through qualifications. So if I connect all the pertinent works to the authority record, I ensure that through the authority record, the users of the library can access all the works of the author. An authority record usually contains an univocal identifier, the preferred form of the name of the author, for example, but of course authority records can be used also for places, for works, for organizations. I say author because I usually work on items about persons. So the authority records contain the preferred name, and if there are variant names, also the variant names. And of course, the preferred name is disambiguated from the homonyms. Ideally, the authority record also contains information about the author with references and links to other databases. And of course, to the authority records, I connect all the pertinent bibliographic records. Here is an example of authority record in Italian. So here below, you see the ID, above the authorized form, the variant forms, the basic information about this person, so the date, the occupation, and the language, and these are the sources. And of course, if I show you this in the website, this is the website. Here you also have, when it loads, the link to the books connected to the record. So I go to this and I can see 233 books, let's say documents in general, that are connected to this authority record. So if I want to see everything that Libanius has written, I go to the authority record, and from the authority record I can access all the bibliographic records. And I can make another example. So in the Wikipedia article, I go to the Wikipedia article, I go below. Here there are usually the links to the authority records. So I can go to the French one and show you the same. This is the French authority record, preferred form of the name, other preferred forms. Okay, here there are more preferred forms. Variant forms, data about the person, sources about the person, a link to another identifier, and from here I can see the works by Libanius that are 155, and also I can see the works about Libanius that are in 28. So as you can see, the authority record as a way to access everything by and sometimes also about an author. This is independent from the form with which the author is present in the book. So that the author is Libanius, but for example, if I go to the books just to show you, here it appears as Libani at the genitive, the Latin genitive, and here it appears, it doesn't appear in the title, great, and in other cases it will appear with different forms. Libani, often Libani, as you can see, and everything has been connected to the authority record. Great. So, authority control is the process of creating and connecting to the bibliographic records the authority records, and authority records altogether constitute the authority file. So authority file is the group of the authority records in a catalog. Good. So this part of the presentation will be about authority control in Wikidata and with Wikidata. How to connect your authority file with Wikidata, how to improve reciprocally your authority file with Wikidata, and why you should do it, which are the benefits for your users in doing this kind of work. Let's start with the first part, requisites. So what your authority file should be, which characteristics your authority file should have in order to be linked from Wikidata. So I think you know this image about open data. Open data can be more structured or less structured. Of course, also a PDF published online in open license is open data, although not ideal. If you want to be linked from Wikidata as an external identifier, you must have a URI. So you must be at least here at 4 stars. Basically, each authority record to be linked from Wikidata as an external ID must have a URI and be visible online, of course. If your authority file is just visible in your backend as catalogers, but is not visible online, or it is visible online, but it has not a URI, you cannot link it from Wikidata. However, if you want, you can always link from your authority file to Wikidata. I think in Romania, Mark 21 is used, so you can use, you can put the Wikidata QID in the 024. If your authority file is not visible, please consider making it visible. Because, of course, if it is not visible, we from Wikidata can do nothing to link it, to improve it. So make it visible also if it is not really high quality, and we can start building it together and improving it together. How? Now we will see. So if the authority file is visible, we can match it with Wikidata. How to do it? Basically, there are different ways. One, of course, is manually. You can go manually in Wikidata, add statement, and add the ID of your authority file. Of course, first you have to propose the ID of your authority file. The community will most probably approve it. Then you have the ID, and you can go in Wikidata and add manually the ID. This is very long, so probably it's not the best possible way to do it for like hundreds, thousands of entries. So if you already have a list of correspondences between Wikidata and the authority records, you can use quick statements to import the matches. If you don't have a list of matches, you can use reconciliation tools. The two most important ones are Mix and Match and OpenRefine. Both are free. You can use you can use them with no specific limitations, without paying. They have some differences. But they work mostly the same. So they will basically, in some cases, they will be able to match the entries in a way that is very sure, because, for example, your entries have dates, and also Wikidata has dates. So if the dates are the same and the name is the same, then the match is quite sure. In the cases in which the match is possible but not sure, Mix and Match and OpenRefine will make a suggestion, and you will have to confirm the suggestion or refuse it. So in a lot of cases, of course, you will have to manually check, but you will already have the proposal of the tool. So you will spare time. You will just have to confirm or remove the suggestion. There are some differences between Mix and Match and OpenRefine. For example, in OpenRefine, since OpenRefine runs on your computer, it's just a work that you do individually, with the Mix and Match is an online platform. So in Mix and Match, many people can work together reconciling something. So in a lot of cases, Mix and Match is a good solution. For example, if a lot of the IDs that you want to match with Wikidata are already existing items, you just have to find them. Mix and Match is probably the best solution. If you want to create most of these IDs as new items, probably OpenRefine is a better solution. We can say more about this, but I think that being this a general introduction, this is enough. And of course, like this PowerPoint will be available. And if you need more specific guidance, I am also reachable in the future. So you can also create new items, of course, but remember that if you do massive imports, you should use data having a decent quality, and the data must be released in CC0. Maybe we skipped this, but Wikidata, the structured data of Wikidata are available in CC0. So CC0 means that the data in Wikidata are in public domain. Everyone can use them with no restrictions. This also means that since data in itself has no copyright, but datasets like groups of data that have been arranged by a person, a group of persons, an organization, datasets have a copyright. So if you want to import a dataset into Wikidata, the dataset must be in CC0. Otherwise, you are basically downscaling the license of the dataset, putting it into Wikidata that is CC0. So be sure that if you import a group of data, these data have been like either produced by you yourself, and then you can do what you want, or if you are taking pre-existing data, these data have to be CC0. Of course, reconciling with Wikidata an authority file has many good aspects, including the fact that this authority file will be linked from many Wikipedias, so it will gain significant visibility. Here you see some examples of authority files linked from different Wikipedias. And in Wikidata, there is a significant amount of users that do things with authority files. As you can see from the second point of this slide, the users adding authority files, the IDs of authority records in Wikidata are many hundreds every month. So there is a quite big community of users that improve the interconnection between Wikidata and authority files. So once you have connected your authority file with Wikidata, what you can do in order to improve both sides. This is a summary of what you can do. And the important thing that I want to underline is that some of these actions, you do them in Wikidata. Some of them require you to edit the authority file, and some of them require you to edit on both sides. So in order to be able to cooperate effectively, you need, you as Wikidata user, you also need to have some contact with the persons that edit the authority file, or you need to be a person, a cataloger who edits the authority file and is also active in Wikidata. And now I will go through these 5 points relatively quick, but I will spend some words on each of these points. So the first point is data round tripping. That means that when we work on Wikidata, we find, for example, mistakes in authority files. And these mistakes should be possibly solved. So if they remain, this can be an issue, for example, for Wikidata, because they can be re-imported into Wikidata. So we want, when we correct in Wikidata a mistakes that comes from an external source, to correct also the external source, if possible. And this is what I was saying. So a mistake, if you find it in Wikidata, it should be removed not only from Wikidata, but also from the original source. Of course, if the original source is a printed book, you cannot. But if the original source is an authority file, you can. So in Wikidata, we already have some users that interact between themselves in order to fix these mistakes. And I can also show you some examples of, wait, these links, okay, wait a minute. So I can also show you some examples of users interacting in Wikidata to solve mistakes in authority files. Yeah, this link doesn't work for some reason, so I have to copy and paste it. Okay. So, yeah, this is a list of items on which we worked together to fix various types of issues. I can show you this one. So, this Joseph Felten. Wait, I first show you the item. Joseph Felten was a German Hellenist, so a scholar of ancient Greek literature, that who basically wrote a thesis. He wrote, wait a minute, I show you from this, from the German authority file. Yeah, he was active, he was born in Köln in 1884, and he made a thesis, PhD thesis, in 1913, that then was also published as a book. So he was confused in many authority files with a more famous Joseph Felten, who was a theologian much older. And here is a list of the authority files which confused him. And through Wikidata, as you can see, here I am pinging various users, and these users gradually fixed this confusion in various authority files. So what we try to do, or I have a recent example, if I find it back, yeah, Gustav Kish, a Romanian philologist. He died in 1938, but there were 3 national libraries, 1, 2, 3, that said that he died in 1948, so 10 years afterwards. I fixed myself the Italian one, and the American one was fixed. This is the Vatican that was also fixed, and probably we'll soon have also the last one fixed. So in Wikidata, we also try to fix the mistake at its origin. But to do this, it is important that we have a way to contact the authority file. So an authority file should have a way, like a web form or an email, that allows the users to report mistakes. This is simple, but for many authority files, still we don't have this. And this is important to improve the quality of your catalog. So yeah, very easy, but very important to keep the overall quality of the data in the semantic web decent. Otherwise, the mistakes can spread easily in the semantic web, and we want to avoid this. The second aspect is solving mistakes found through constraints. So basically, as we said very briefly, constraints are the way used in Wikidata to find possible, probable, sure mistakes. And one of these mistakes is that, like usually, when we have a correspondence between Wikidata and an external database, the correspondence should be one-to-one. So if the correspondence is 2-to-1, so 1-to-2 or 2-to-1, typically it is a mistake. But this mistake, this table, you can also look at it later, but this table basically is made to explain that the mistake can be either in Wikidata or in the external database. So in order to fix all these cases of correspondences 2-to-1 or 1-to-2, you have to cooperate in order, for example, to fix some duplicates in Wikidata and some duplicates in your database, for example, in your authority file. So if you are just a Wikidata user, you can fix only the issues in Wikidata, but not the issues in the external database. And this, of course, is quite annoying. Ideally, there should be someone also from the external database taking care of these lists of constraint violations in order to fix all of them, because in fixing all of them, you can also find a lot of mistakes in your database and you can improve the quality of your database. So basically what you should do, the list of constraint violations are already there. They're easy to find. You just have to use them to solve your mistakes, especially your duplications and conflations. Yeah, okay. The third point, improving Wikidata items. Of course, you can also improve Wikidata items. You can improve them, finding them through queries. You can make queries to find, for example, items that have no birth dates or items that have birth dates with no source. All of these can be easily found, and then you have to fix them. But why should you improve Wikidata items? Basically, for many reasons that are listed here. For example, if there is a cataloger in, let's say, Singapore that has to catalog a book of a Romanian author, the cataloger from Singapore may have some difficulties in arriving to your catalog that will be written in Romanian and finding data about this author. But for the cataloger of Singapore, it can be easier to go into Wikidata and search the data of the author in Wikidata. Why? Because Wikidata is multilingual. So the cataloger of Singapore can see the data about a Romanian author in Wikidata in their language, like in English or in Chinese or in another language that is spoken by this Singaporean cataloger. So putting the data about the authors you care about in Wikidata makes it easier, for example, for catalogers in other countries to find this data and to catalog these authors well in their countries. In general, it is also a matter of visibility and very important, you can make statistics about these persons if you have put good data about them in Wikidata. Statistics like the map that I was showing you previously. So you can see, for example, where are the authors that are present in my catalog born? How many male authors, how many female authors, which are the languages that these authors spoke, like apart from Romanian, which are the most common languages, native languages of these authors, and so on. So you can make beautiful statistics once you have good data in Wikidata. And so you can use queries, as I said, to find items that can be improved and you can improve them. Of course, in these 3 hours, I cannot show you practically how to do it. I cannot show you like Wikidata editing, but it can be arranged in another session if there is interest. So yeah, this is not conceived as a practical section about Wikidata, but it can be made another one in the future with practical experiences. Then you can use Wikidata to massively enrich your authority records. This is a beautiful thing about which we have a lot of documentation. So, for this documentation, like you can just click these links and you will find a lot of beautiful things. Maybe I can just open this one. I can open this one to show you something. This is a very recent article that has been written at the end of October with Stefano Bargioni. So this is an example of an info box in a catalog generated with data from Wikidata. I can show you it also directly in the catalog. So I can take the catalog. Wait a minute. So this is the catalog, and I search Albert Einstein, and we will arrive on a bibliographic record. Let's take this, for example. So this data about this author and this author come basically from Wikidata, including the image. And I can show you in another catalog, like catalog, let me find it a minute. So this one. So this is another catalog of libraries in Rome. And when it loads, yeah, this one. So I can do the same here, Albert Einstein. And I will show you another like layout of these. Let's take this one. No, this is not found in Wikidata. So here you see that if the entity is not found in Wikidata, it will show nothing. So I will take this one. And here we will see something. So here, this info box about Friedrich Dürrenmatt, like this you see variant forms of the name, and like everything you see here, including the links to various Wikipedias, links to other library catalogs, links to the most important Italian online encyclopedia, etc., etc. All of this is generated from Wikidata in this moment. When I load the page, it is generated from Wikidata, as well as, oh, the second one is not on Wikidata, and so we don't have nothing. So you can see the benefit of having good Wikidata items from which you can display good data in your catalog. If you want technical details, we can speak later. Here there are also some technicalities that I don't have time to like stay upon, but as I said, this PowerPoint will be online today, so don't worry. Last point is that you can also, if you have good data in your authority records, you can massively upload them to Wikidata, enriching existing items and also creating new items. Of course, to do this, your data must have CC0 license. And of course, for this, there is a very, very beautiful example of what is being done by the Czech National Library. We have a lot of documentation about what the Czech National Library is doing. They have imported into Wikidata, I think, more than 600,000 authority records. So yeah, I can also put here some links about what has been done by the Czech National Library, and you can refer to them. I will add them. So basically, we come to the conclusions of this part. which are the benefits for the catalog if you spend time in improving your authority file, cooperating with the Wikidata community. So first benefit, your catalog is more visible. As we saw, there are links from Wikipedias, but for example, other libraries or like other types of websites that use Wikidata can also extract from Wikidata the link to your catalog, if your catalog is particularly important, and show this link to their users. So your catalog becomes more visible. Your catalog becomes more interconnected. You can use Wikidata to add links from your catalog to other things. So to other catalogs, to Wikipedia, to Wikidata, for example, through the authority box. So you can also offer your users more data that you don't have, but that you read from Wikidata. And you can make your catalog more correct. Of course, in doing this reconciliation, you discover a lot of mistakes of various kinds that you can correct in your catalog. So you offer basically a better service to your users. You can find mistakes of orthography, bibliographic records that are wrongly attributed. Let me fix this. This is an F, just to have this correct because I see the mistake. Wait a minute. Wrong attributions of bibliographic records, and you can find authority records that need updates. For example, you missed that an author died, and you may want to add the death date. And most importantly, you can find conflations and applications in your authority records, and you can fix them. And this is very important. Have a catalog which is basically more correct. Yeah. And also, this is the last point, having a catalog that you can study. So you can make statistics through Wikidata about, as I said, the gender, the epoch, the language, the field of activity of the authors in your catalog, something that as of now is substantially impossible, but that becomes possible. And about this, you should check this presentation that is also recorded online. I should add the link to the recording here. I will add it. So link recording, I put a note. So this is the presentation that was made in July. It is extracted from a master thesis. And here I go on a bit, but you can go and see it completely. For example, these are statistics: male, female, number of pseudonyms, places of birth, places of death, date of birth, date of death. These are all statistics about groups of authors extracted from Wikidata. So you can make beautiful statistics. Of course, putting this data into Wikidata takes time, but you can have a lot of new statistics that wouldn't be doable before and that become doable. Okay, so the conclusions, the real conclusions of this part, what you can do practically. Go on a bit, go on another bit. If your country has important authority files that are not yet linked from Wikidata, but can be linked from Wikidata, so they are visible online, they have URIs, you should propose Wikidata properties for them. You should create mix and match catalogs for them so that you can start reconciling them with Wikidata. You can enrich the items of the authors. You should deal with the complex cases of homonyms and report all the mistakes that you find. it is important that all the mistakes that you find in the authority file are reported to the authority file. Of course, like all of these could be explained in 1 or 2 more hours with practical examples that I cannot do today, but if you are interested, I can do in another day. And what you can also do around Wikidata, establish collaborations with the institutions managing the authority files. And what you should ask to these institutions is make the authority file entirely visible if it is not already, publish periodical dumps, possibly in CC0, so that we can also import good data into Wikidata. For example, making the coverage of Wikidata about Romanian authors better in terms of quality and quantity. You can ask the institution if they want to train librarians about Wikidata. Of course, then training librarians can mean many things, can be training online, training in person for 2 hours, 10 hours, can be many different things according to what you want. And yeah, these are the main things. Of course, also if you are individual librarians, you can work on Wikidata and do very beautiful things. And if you want more details, please ask. There is also a lot of documentation already online. There is a lot of documentation in Italian that we produced since 2020. We did a lot of activities, mainly training activities online, and we had many, many good results that you can check in the Wikidata page linked here, which is in Italian, by the way, but you can translate it easily. And in Italy, we also set up important collaborations with like the biggest catalog in Italy, SBN, and also one of the biggest ones, Parsifal, that is a catalog of ecclesiastical libraries. We set up very beautiful collaborations with the authority files of these catalogs. And if you want information about these collaborations, both of them have Wikidata pages and scientific articles about them. All of this is in Italian, but there is a lot of documentation, and if you want, I can also like explain them in English in another occasion. So we have already examples of very effective collaborations between Wikidata and the authority files, and you may want to do something similar. And I'm here to help you. So, questions? I should stop sharing. Yeah. I also hope it was clear, not too fast, etc., etc. Also, easy questions.
Yeah, we are looking forward to questions, especially from our colleague librarians.
Exactly. Easy questions, practical questions, requests for documentation.
There is a question in the chat.
Yeah. I would read it. What is the situation for pseudonyms, pen name? How do we correlate them with an authority file? Asks Amalia Diana Barbo.
Yeah, this is a very interesting point that is also dealt. It is a point that is treated.
Knowledge life is an adventure in learning. Embrace the journey and discover.
Yeah. Yeah, the point about the treating of pseudonyms in Wikidata is extensively treated in a thesis that I supervised in Italian, unfortunately, but in this page that is also linked somewhere in the PowerPoint, you find the link to the thesis. That is this one, and there is the PDF of the thesis. And in this, there is also a part about the problem of pseudonyms in authority files. Basically, in Wikidata, we usually have one item for the person, and also this item contains the information about the pseudonym of the person. And if the authority file has separate entries for the person and the pseudonyms, we connect all of them to the same Wikidata item of the physical person. There are a few exceptions, but usually in Wikidata we have just one item for the person and the pseudonyms used by the person, and we connect all the authority records of the person and the pseudonyms to this Wikidata item. If there are collective pseudonyms, of course, collective pseudonyms have separate items. This is sure. And they are connected to the persons that like cooperate to this collective pseudonym. And if you want more information, there are here in this thesis.
Okay, thank you very much.
I can also link, effectively, the easiest thing is linking this in the chat, which I will do. Other questions?
If there are no other questions, then I would propose the following 10 minutes break.
Yeah.
Or 15 minutes break, depends, and then we move forward to the
I'll
third
say
and
10.
final. The time?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. 10 minutes then. And then we move forward to the third and final part of Camillo's presentation, which is directed towards researchers. And in the meanwhile, and I would like Camillo to, I would like to thank Camillo for being so kind and allowing me to do a second pitch. I will present something that it's not related directly or remotely even to Wikimedia. It's a class on data management in times of crisis, and I would ask of you a bit of patience until I open the PowerPoint and share my screen. So you should be able to see the window now. It's another pitch from a series of short pitches that we do at the Office of Open Science, promoting various initiatives that we are not directly involved in, but which are related in a very high measure to open science. And I would also like to switch languages and do this pitch in Romanian, though the class itself, the online class itself, it's in English. Cursul pe care vreau să vi-l prezint foarte pe scurt se intitulează Resilient Data Management in Time of Crisis. Este un curs de gestiune a datelor. El se adresează tuturor celor care lucrează cu date, în egală măsură cercetătorilor și bibliotecarilor. Este un curs gratuit și în același timp un curs pe care la care vă puteți înregistra și pe care îl puteți parcurge în timpul dumneavoastră și în măsura în care aveți dispoziția și spațiu cronologic pentru el. Puteți să scanați QR codul de aici. Am să pun și linkul la pagina cursului în chat. Cursul este structurat pe o serie de pași, prezentarea generală, apoi partea de acknowledgement și introductivă. Urmează o parte dedicată modului în care înțelegem crizele în mediul contemporan, apoi provocările și oportunitățile pe care datele deschise, open data, le oferă în context de criză. Un ghid practic pentru cei care se ocupă de data management, de gestiune și de curatoriat de date. O serie de recomandări pentru biblioteci și pentru cei care dezvoltă politicile de gestionare a datelor și, bineînțeles, partea finală a cursului cu concluzii, bibliografie și certificatul de definitivare a cursului. Cursul este dezvoltat de SKS Knowledge Services și în particular de către Tiberius Ignat și Damla Bal. Cum ziceam, el se adresează tuturor celor care lucrează cu date. Nu este un curs foarte lung și eu personal am parcurs o parte din el până acum. Cum ziceam, îl parcurgem fiecare pe timpul nostru și îl recomand cu toată căldura tuturor celor care vor fie să aprofundeze, fie să înțeleagă ce înseamnă curatoriatul de date și mai ales cum putem gestiona datele în timp de criză. Mulțumesc frumos pentru atenție și așteptăm să se termine pauza. Am pus și linkul către pagina cursului în chat și acum ne întoarcem la limba engleză. And actually, before Camilo starts the third session, I would also like to remind those of you that might have entered the training session later that in order to register for a certificate of attendance, we kindly ask you to access the link which I have now placed in the chat and register there. We're going to try to issue these certificates with a flow, so you might be able to get them in a rather short while.
I think we have the 10 minutes. So, I still have voice. Let's start with the last part, Wikidata for researchers. Yay. So, wait. Okay. So, Wikidata for researchers. Let's go on. Why Wikidata? So, for which reasons a university might be interested to create a project on Wikidata? Wikidata has to offer many things. Here I try to make a summary. Openness. Your data are visible in one of the most important nodes of the semantic web. You can combine your data with what is already on Wikidata and make it easy to translate. You can make it interoperable with also many other things that use Wikidata. And of course, your data will be extensively reused because Wikidata is very much reused. If you keep your data just in your isolated database, this would not be possible, surely. Second aspect, collaboration. Of course, in Wikidata, you can, as I said, combine your data with what is already existing. So it's also easy to find inconsistencies, mistakes, and so on. And not only comparing with what is already in Wikidata, but also with what is in Wikidata, but also with the database that Wikidata connects to. So you put your data in Wikidata, and then you can compare them with the other databases to which Wikidata links and find other things to improve. And in Wikidata, there are many volunteers and scholars that can help you. So citizen science. Other aspects, of course, Wikidata allows you to use many tools to analyze your data, Sparkle queries, we already said, and many others. You also have good ways of visualizing your data, the map that we saw before, and Wikidata is open source and fundamentally stable, and it has no costs. So yeah, these are the main aspects. Probably there are also others, but I think these are already quite convincing. Then a classification of projects related to Wikidata with university. This is my view of this. I try to make a systematic picture of this. So yeah, this is the picture that I tried to collect. I divided into two parts. A part about projects that are done not necessarily by researchers, can also be done by researchers, but not necessarily, and the part that can be done by researchers. And I will go through these 4 points with also real examples, as I was saying. So the first part, project with university libraries, archives, and museums. Basically, they are similar to projects that you do with libraries, archives, and museums that are not connected to universities. Regarding Wikidata for librarians, see the previous part. Regarding Wikidata for archivists, I made a presentation in Italian that is available. Of course, you can do very interesting projects about the history of the university that surely is very well documented by the libraries and the archives and the museums that are related to the university. So you can use the materials inside these institutions to put in Wikidata structured data about the history of the university. But I don't have much to say about this because, especially the institution with which I collaborate the most are libraries, and about libraries I already said. So, for example, a library of a university will surely have works of the persons that were professors at the university. So these professors will have authority records, and you can connect the authority records of your professors in the catalog of your library to Wikidata. Example of project with the university library. But let's go to the second point, projects or university data. You can describe in Wikidata research repositories and databases managed by your university, research projects in which your university participates, the administrative divisions of the university, for example, its departments and so on, and especially also the members of the research staff, so professors and researchers, present and past, also past. The aim is to increase the visibility of the university research activity. As I said, you can do it for the present, but also for the past, going back as much as you want, and could be performed by the administrative staff after training, of course, also Wikidata users that can be paid for the project, or also university students that can be after training, they can do it. And of course, this can be interesting also because it is an activity in which you acquire a lot of competencies that you can also reuse in other contexts. You understand better how a database works, how you can use the tools that a database gives you in order to find inconsistencies and mistakes in the database. You understand which are the main external databases to which you can connect the entries you create. So you learn a lot of things in doing this work. So this can also be a very good work to be done by university students. And of course, this increases greatly the visibility of your university. And here are some examples. A very big project was done by the Stanford University in the US that tried to map everything about Stanford University on Wikidata. This was also imitated by many other US universities, usually with smaller projects, but a lot of US universities, for example, put on Wikidata all their professors, which is perfectly fine, and we very much like this, and more universities should do this. I also have some examples from Italy. In Italy, we have a project in which we try to describe very slowly, because it's done only by volunteers. We are describing slowly in Wikidata all researchers active in Italian universities. And there is also a similar project in Switzerland, financed by Wikimedia Switzerland. Also other examples, at my university, Scuola Normale Superiore in Pisa, I am trying to describe in Wikidata all the notable alumni of this university. That is quite small, but also quite important. So I have already described some hundreds of them in Wikidata. And recently, the École Française de Rome in Rome has started and has also nearly completed a project to describe all their members. Members in this case means like persons affiliated to these research institutions from the start of this institution. They recently celebrated 150 years of existence. So they described in Wikidata all the researchers that have been affiliated there in the last 150 years in Wikidata. And in both these projects, all these persons were also connected in Wikidata to the most relevant library catalogs. So I connected all the alumni of my university to the most important library catalog in Italy, and they connected there in Rome, they connected all these researchers to their catalog and to the most important library catalogs of France. And also now they're doing it also for the Italian library catalog. So all of these makes available structured data about these persons, and also you can directly access from Wikidata which are the works of these researchers that are owned by libraries in their country, which is also very useful to have like a basic bibliography of what they wrote, which often would not be easy to find elsewhere online. And instead, you can just go in Wikidata, and from Wikidata, go to the library catalog and see at least most of the works that they wrote. So this is also very important. And then we go to the projects that I think should be done specifically by researchers. The first group of projects is what I call projects concerning Wikidata. When I say concerning Wikidata, I mean that you focus on how Wikidata works, like historically or also as of now, and also you focus on the data that are present in Wikidata, either taken by itself or compared with other databases. Of course, these projects can result in various kinds of academic outputs, like presentations, publications, and so on. And they can have different approaches, more computer science, more digital humanities, and so on. Let's see, like I distinguish these projects from the next group because in these projects, you mainly like study Wikidata as an object without much editing this. So what you want to see in this kind of projects is what Wikidata already contains, how it evolved in time, because Wikidata is one of the most important knowledge graphs in the internet, and it is an interesting object of study in itself. So understanding, since also Wikidata, as Wikipedia, is very much used, for example, by artificial intelligence and a lot of other services that rely upon Wikidata. If in Wikidata a certain topic is overrepresented or underrepresented, or if it has like certain biases, it's important to know. So studying how Wikidata works, its data quality, and so on, is important to understand one of the central nodes of the semantic web. What you can do, for example, studying how Wikidata describes like how the data about libraries as institutions and library buildings are described in Wikidata, or like how Swedish citizens or Romanian citizens and so on are described in Wikidata, how many of them, how are they divided by gender, by profession, by number of Wikipedia articles, and so on, by many parameters. How, or for example, compare a certain set of items between Wikidata and, let's say, some authority files, but can also be other databases, to see who is more complete, who among these databases describes these entities, in these writers, for example, with the best data quality, with the best references, and so on, in order to see who can learn from the others. These are all examples of studies, but there can be many, many more of higher complexity, lower complexity, and so on. These are some real examples instead. So these are all open access things that you can access. This is an article about the representation of critical discourses in humanities with Wikidata, substantially how Wikidata models conflicting sources, basically. This is an article that I wrote about the reconciliation of the biggest authority file in Italy with Wikidata. This is a thesis, if I remember correctly, a bachelor thesis regarding how scientific are Wikidata's external references. This is like computer science. And this last one is a multi-annual research project about how Wikidata models gender diversity. So this was like a research project that went on for 3 years and produced many presentations, articles, and so on. Of course, there are also many research projects that reuse Wikidata's data. Like Wikidata is huge, Wikidata is CC0. So if you do a research project, you can just, for example, reuse Wikidata's data. There is an overview that has been made in 2023 about this. This is very good, also open access. And in this article, there is an important phrase that says that most projects tend to consume data from Wikidata, whereas basically few projects go in Wikidata and publish data. So the approach of research projects to Wikidata is mostly passive, which is not like bad in itself, but of course, like there are still few research projects that use Wikidata actively, that put data into Wikidata. So in the next part, what we will see is research projects that put data into Wikidata. And this is exactly point 4. So research project through Wikidata. Through Wikidata in the sense that you go in the following way. You choose one or more sources, could also be one. Just like it can be an existing database, it can be a printed source, it can be many things. You define a dataset on which you want to work. For example, I say that I want to work on all the persons described in a certain database that I chose as source. Then you go on Wikidata and manually or semi-automatically or typically like both semi-automatically and manually in Wikidata, you edit the items that are part of this dataset. And you edit them on the basis of the sources that you chose. Afterwards, you use queries to analyze the data that you put in Wikidata. And finally, you write a publication about this. This is very easy and straightforward and can lead to interesting results. So let's see examples. Of course, you can use textual sources, even not available online. And in this case, you just extract data manually from these sources. But of course, this is a long process. But doing this is important because then you will make available in the semantic web data which previously were not available. So this requires time, but it has a very important impact. Or you can use existing database if they are in CC0. Otherwise, not. But you can convince the institution to put the database in CC0 and then you can import. Yeah, and also this can be the subject of seminars and things like that, and publications, and we will see now examples. So, of course, it's useful to involve in these projects some Wikidata users that can help, like the research staff involved in doing this, possibly Wikidata users who also have some knowledge of the subject area that you are dealing with. And now we will see some examples. These are potential examples. So if you need ideas, you can work on persons, always doable, easy, interesting, okay? You can work on a bibliography that can be all the articles of a journal, can be all the essays or in a group of miscellaneous conference proceedings, can be a thematic bibliography. Of course, this is more difficult. You can work on a dataset of concepts, you can work on objects, you can work on many, many things. And here are some examples. This is the thesis that I was showing you before. So this was a dataset of Italian writers taken from a printed biographical dictionary. And this was a master thesis. This article is about importing in Wikidata the data about the articles that have been published in Italian journals of library science. This is a very interesting project that is also documented in a Wikidata page. This is, I don't remember if it was a master or a bachelor thesis in Spain regarding importing into Wikidata authority records and scientific articles. If you want to find like researchers publishing regarding Wikidata, these are some places where you can look. The Wikidata workshop is more like computer science focused. Wikidata research was more like digital humanities. It has already happened, and now we are working on publishing the proceedings in open access. You can also look at this special collection that will be published very soon, and it had a great amount of submissions. I'm also involved there about the use of Wikidata in digital humanities, and it will have a very good amount of articles, also very diverse between themselves, from like all the different corners of digital humanities. So this will also be very interesting, open access, and like will be out in 2-3 months, I would say. The final part that I have is about alternatives, like alternatives that are not exactly Wikidata, but very near to Wikidata. As I said, Wikidata uses a software that is Wikibase. Wikibase is a MediaWiki extension. And this software is a free and open source software, so you can use it. Why a separate Wikibase instance? Substantially, the motivations that you can have are these 4 motivations. In your research project, you might need one of these points. You might need to restrict the ensemble of users editing the data. So if you have a strict requirement that only like the researchers involved in the project can edit the data, this of course cannot be done in Wikidata. Wikidata can be edited by everyone, but it can be done in your Wikibase instance. If you need to model your data in a way that is not entirely compatible with the way that Wikidata does, of course, you can try to convince the Wikidata community to change a bit the way in which data are modeled in Wikidata. You may succeed, you may not succeed, but in your Wikibase instance, you can model your data as you want. You can create your own properties and use your own properties as you prefer. You can also, in your Wikibase instance, you can model, you can add data about entities that would not be considered notable in Wikidata. For example, Wikidata says that an entity has to be described by serious and publicly available sources. But if you want to create a database of, let's say, the persons that were teachers at your university, and for some unfortunate case, this data have never been collected before, and you collect them for the first time using archival sources that are not exactly publicly available, and like you make your own research to create a database of the persons that were professors at your university. You cannot put this data directly into Wikidata because they are the result of first-hand research, but you can put them in a Wikibase instance and then potentially use your Wikibase instance as a source to put them also in Wikidata. And also, you can, if you have as a requirement to use a license that is not CC0, Wikidata is CC0, but if you want to put your structured data under a license that is more restrictive than CC0, like CC BY, you cannot do it in Wikidata, but you can do it in your Wikibase instance. If you want to see examples of Wikibase instances, you can go into one of these two presentations. I can open briefly the second, which is a presentation that I did a few months ago because I have created two Wikibase instances about ancient Greek literature, because in fact I am a student of ancient Greek literature, and I can show you briefly something. So, okay, this is what Wikibase offers. Okay, great. So the first of my Wikibase instances is called Hypotheses, and it is about Greek rhetorical exercises, a theme that is studied by very, very few people, unfortunately. And my aim is collecting data about rhetorical exercises in Greek. And a lot of these data that I collect, I basically collect them on the basis of first-hand research. So this data cannot go directly into Wikidata because there is a lot of first-hand research, but can go into a Wikibase instance. This is basically some of the data that I collect, started in 2024. As of now, I am alone because very few people are enthusiasts of Greek rhetorical exercises. This can be enlarged to rhetorical exercises in other languages. And here I haven't put anything about the results that I obtained, but I can show you something. So I can show you some queries. These are queries about what I already added. And for example, you can make lists of these, but you can also do other interesting things. For example, you can look at which were the most used types of exercises, which were the exercises which were more common or less common. And you can see it here, like these are, this is the exercise which was most common. I can show it also, for example, in ancient Greek, because this is multilingual. So I can easily switch, for example, to ancient Greek, and I see this in ancient Greek, or I can switch to English, and you will see it in English. So, and this, for example, is a visualization of the data that I added. So, yeah, Wikibase can be used to collect structured data, also in cases that would not be suitable to go directly into Wikidata, because it is something that you are producing for the first time, but you can put it in Wikibase. And in Wikibase, for example, since it's something that you are producing for the first time, you can also choose like a more restrictive license, or you can choose to limit the group of users that can edit this data only to users that you know that are really expert of this topic. So this is also something that can be done and that you can explore. If you have to collect structured data for your research, it is a valid possibility that you should at least take into account. And if you want to create your own Wikibase instance, there are two methods, Wikibase Cloud and Wikibase Suite. Basically, the difference is that Wikibase Suite is completely managed by you. So you need, of course, some technical capabilities to do this. I wouldn't be able, but you can, it's doable. It's just that I'm not a computer scientist. So, of course, since Wikibase Suite, you are completely managing it, you have a lot of possibilities of customization. Of course, you need to manage it, which means like, yeah, technical capabilities and also some money to keep the website online. There is also Wikibase Cloud. Wikibase Cloud is a platform hosted by Wikimedia Deutschland. As I said before, Wikimedia Deutschland also develops Wikidata and Wikibase, and they also manage Wikibase Cloud. Creating a Wikibase instance on Wikibase Cloud is very, 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 very easy. It can be done by everyone in 2 minutes. Of course, the drawback of Wikibase Cloud is that you have like limited customization because like Wikimedia Deutschland is paying everything, so they limit a bit what you can do because otherwise it would be like a big cost. But of course, like, yeah, you lose on customization, but basically you can do a lot of things and you don't have costs. You don't have financial costs and you don't need technical experience. So like, it's a very good alternative. Also, if you want to experiment, if Wikibase can be a suitable solution for your research, you can like create a Wikibase Cloud instance also just to like as a sandbox to try. And then if you don't need it anymore, you can just delete it. And yeah, so also if you want to try Wikibase, you can just go to Wikibase Cloud and try, and it will be very easy. This is the end of my 3 hours of presentation. So we have the last minutes for questions on this last part or on what I said before, if questions emerged on what I said before. And then this is the end. And of course, you can contact me afterwards. You can see my publications that are all in open access. Also, the ones in Ancient Greek are mostly in open access, but the ones about Wikidata are all in open access. And I hope that this can be the start of other projects and seminars and things like this. So thank you, and let's go for the last session of questions.
Thank you, Camillo, and I would like to invite our colleagues and to welcome them even to the question session.
Yeah, also in the previous parts, of course.
Yes, Claudia.
Hi, thank you so much, Camillo, for this marathon with us. I have a question that kind of combines the previous part with this part, thinking about the university context.
Yep.
And your experience mostly with primarily with Italian communities.
Yep.
Can you maybe speak a little bit about the relation between the academics, the professors, the students, the researchers, and the library, university library? Because the examples that you gave were a lot of work done in teams, not by just one person and not, one time only, but it looks like there's a number of processes that are happening in that environment. And it might be different in Romania, the relations that we have in this context. So it would be useful to have some examples that you work with in terms of, who's leading, who's bringing people together, where the money come from to do these projects, where the time come from to do this type of project, because I think you make very good point of this is useful, but then we're all very busy and we, never prioritize this. So what's the situation in universities in Italy?
So for the universities in Italy, my main contacts are usually the professors of library science, because this is also this is the intersection basically between university research and libraries, is usually like professors of library science and now in the last months also in the field of digital humanities. So for example, research projects that also involve editing Wikidata and interconnecting Wikidata with authority files can be done by, for example, students that are doing thesis in the field of library and information science. This is what I co-supervised two master theses, one about interconnecting Wikidata with the Italian national control vocabulary, and another about the one that I showed you, Wikidata, Italian writers in Wikidata and Italian writers, also interconnecting them with the library catalogs. So yeah, the contacts with universities basically are focused on Wikidata. I usually do training sessions about Wikidata. Then the projects that develop are usually either like thesis, so the students have to do a thesis and they do it editing Wikidata, and then in the thesis documenting the work that they did in Wikidata and the results that emerged from the work on Wikidata. And sometimes, this is still not so frequent, but sometimes professors also manage to get funds, for example, to do projects that involve the use of Wikidata and Wikibase instances. Like there was an example of a Wikibase instance that I will put in the chat that was financed through a project from the Italian Ministry of Research, and the project is, wait a minute, the project, the web page of the project is this one, libmovit, and it's coming to the chat, yes. And this project was basically based on a Wikibase instance. So on a Wikibase instance that was managed by researchers and that was also interconnected with Wikidata. Then about libraries, usually also in libraries, what we do is basically we do a lot of training courses for librarians. Then librarians work on Wikidata usually because the directors of these libraries think that it is worth that they dedicate time, part of their time, to also editing Wikidata because they think that this is beneficial for the visibility of their catalog and for the quality of their catalog. So, for example, the École Française de Rome, they obtain funds through the French ministry to do this project describing their members in Wikidata. So basically, it is the libraries that sometimes decide that it is worth that librarians devote part of their time to also editing Wikidata in parallel with the catalog. And also, we also have like a good number of librarians that do this just in their free time, and that sometimes eventually manage to then propose projects, for example, to the directors of their libraries, and then also obtain to do this kind of jobs during their work time, because, for example, as part of a specific project, like something like this was done, for example, by librarians at the University of Salerno, and also, yeah, there are also some other examples. Sometimes these projects are also funded by, for example, Wikimedia Italy, that funds projects done by librarians and or researchers in Wikidata. And so sometimes there is some funding provided by Wikimedia Italy. This also happens sometimes. And then we have some researchers that do research about Wikidata. There are some research groups, for example, University of Bologna, University of Trento, more related to Wikidata from a computer science perspective, and others more related to like a digital humanities perspective, of library science perspective, University of Pavia, University of Florence, University of Pisa. There are some researchers that effectively do research concerning Wikidata or through Wikidata, in the ways that I mentioned, and that basically like do research about Wikidata and also editing Wikidata as part of their research, about which then they publish academic outputs.
I would also have a question. If you have any knowledge or even data about the distribution of the researchers involved in projects with Wikidata across the disciplinary field. I mean, definitely we would expect people involved in digital humanities and library sciences, archival sciences, to be in greater number. But is this true? I mean, do we have from, I don't know, natural sciences, experimental sciences?
There are also, I don't have exact statistics. They can probably be obtained through, like in Wikidata, the bibliography about Wikidata is very well mapped, so this can probably be extracted. There is also, of course, a lot of activity around computer science, for obvious reasons, but in Wikidata, there has been also, for example, a lot of activity around biology. In Wikidata, the data about genes and like chromosomes, things like that have been very much added. So also, like, for example, in the medical field, there is some significant research. So I would say that it covers more or less all disciplines. The percentage of each also varies a lot between different countries. Like in Italy, we have a great amount of librarians and library scientists involved, and this is, of course, in other countries is fewer. So I would say that it covers very much all the spectrum of disciplines, and the percentage varies significantly between different countries. And it's growing. Also in terms of like conferences and journals that dedicate issues to Wikidata, it's growing fastly, I would say, in the last years. And also it's growing the use of Wikibase as a software. For example, now there is this working group of which I am also a member in DARIA, which is the European Infrastructure for Digital Humanities. There is a working group regarding the use of Wikibase and Wikidata in digital humanities that I will put in the chat. So this is also growing, also the use of Wikibase as a software. This is the working group of Daria.
I would also have a final question, which is more maybe philosophical one. Although it is rooted in the actual relation between Wikimedia in general and the research community. What do you believe? Which do you believe are the main difficulties, the main obstacles in the relation between the mainstream research community and the Wikimedia community? I mean, those people running research projects on large sums of money, mainly fundamental research, but not only, and Wikimedia, which provides these wonderful tools which they can use. Although there doesn't seem to be dialogue between these two communities, and these tools don't seem to be known about, maybe not advertised enough. So where do you see the origins of this gap?
Yeah, there is surely like a knowledge gap, especially for example, Wikidata is still largely unknown, much more than Wikipedia, like still in many fields of research, Wikidata is not much known, and Wikibase still fewer, of course, because also the possibility of using Wikibase as a software like separately from Wikidata is also more recent. There are sometimes like sometimes the academic community doesn't understand probably exactly some mechanisms of internal functioning of Wikidata, Wikipedia, and so on, which sometimes are like also the documentation often is present but scattered in different places and could be difficult to find or to fully understand. So sometimes if you don't have, for example, a contact of someone which is already part of the community and decently expert, it might be difficult to start and understand exactly how things work. And then probably there is surely there is some kind of diffidence, which is also at least in part motivated for the fact that everyone can edit these projects, and so that how much can you rely on this if it is community edited and everyone can edit it? Of course, this can be managed in different ways, and but this is surely still an obstacle that, like in many cases, given this, researchers just don't think that any interaction is possible, and instead it can be on like with various levels and caveats, but there is a lot of room for improvement on both sides, because also like the sheer amount of what is present in Wikidata can also reveal through comparison, for example, mistakes on the other side, or like things that can be improved on the other side. And it's just a matter of trying and finding the right balance, I would say, in general. Then, of course, this team can be much developed, and also it can be like it is very differentiated, I think, between different Wikimedia projects. One is Wikipedia, and another is Commons, which I would say is pretty much used also because it is a huge repository of like openly licensed files, and another is Wikidata, and another is others. So it also changes, I think, significantly between the different Wikimedia projects.
Yeah. I would like to add that maybe also the CC0 licensing is not necessarily what researchers prefer.
Exactly.
Even because we are accustomed with the CC BY, at least CC BY. I mean, it's kind of weird for a researcher who has been educated that he should cite and should be cited to provide information which can be used for anything, for any other types of activities without even being cited.
In the case of like Wikidata that is licensed in CC0, differently from Wikipedia, etc., that are CC by SA, this is also an obstacle often to contributing to Wikidata. Yes, and this is one of the reasons because of which, for example, Wikibase can be like a separate Wikibase can be considered as a good alternative. Although I think that many things can be with profit published in Wikidata SCC0.
Well, thank you, Camillo. And
Yeah.
if there are no other
Yeah.
questions, yes, I would like to stop the recording.